Oliver said, I'm a Villa fan and I'm unsure on Gerrard. It'll be lose-lose because if he's crap, we'll go down. And if he does, well, he'll be off to Liverpool the moment Klopp leaves. And that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. I think, gents, that from a purely selfish Liverpool fan point of view, this is a lovely stepping stone towards a potential Liverpool job in the future. But I do understand, Paddy, where people like Oliver there are coming from. It does seem like Villa fans are only, if he does well, they know he's probably going to move on.
Yes, that's very true. And I suppose, as you said, from a biased Liverpool point of view, I think for the dream of Gerrard to ever take the Anfield job, he'll need a Premier League stepping stone. I think it's a big decision to give him the job straight from Rangers. Listen, no disrespect to the Scottish League, but winning the Scottish League is probably akin to getting 10th place in the Premier League, maybe even less. It's nothing too special. It's good that he broke up. It's not good, but for his sake, the fact that he broke up the Celtic monopoly is a big achievement. But as you said, from an Aston Villa fan point of view, I'd imagine that it is a lose-lose. But then again, saying that though, it's probably going to be 2 or 3 years maybe before Klopp leaves, or is it maybe 2 more full seasons? So that's time enough to get them in a good position. And I really am excited. I hope it happens. I really want to see Gerrard in the Premier League, even if it means playing against Liverpool. It is what it is. That's not that big of a deal, because I think he needs that to prove his worth as a manager. Because I think the jury's still out on him and his ability as a manager. I think people think I have faith in him being good because we know his mentality, to a degree. But if he can come to Aston Villa and stabilize them, keep them up, maybe even push for a top 10, that's going to be probably the game. That then his stock will rise. I think it's a no-brainer for him in Villa. Listen, yes, he's going to go to the end game for him is Liverpool, but to get 2 seasons of Villa, stabilize them, and then get someone else to come in, I don't think it's a bad idea for Villa either.
Chris, I don't think it's the worst. I mean, I understand where Oliver's coming from, and I would understand, obviously, the hesitancy from any Aston Villa fans. But as Paddy said, let's say he comes in, stabilises them this year, gets them up top half finish, and pushes them next season into a Europa League place, as an example. Surely, whatever happens then, the club will be in a better position. Like when Klopp leaves Liverpool, Klopp swore when he came in day one, I'll leave the club in a better position than when I left. And no matter what happens now, he certainly will have done that. I would say the same argument could be made for Gerrard. Doesn't mean he will try any less hard for Aston Villa.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Rodgers at Celtic, for example, I'll say this. He went and built his career back up in Scotland. Steven Gerrard started his career there. Went invincible with a Rangers squad, which is unbelievable. And then I just think he's so refreshing in press conferences and stuff like that. He's quite open, being critical. Look, if he does do well at Aston Villa, there's no reason why Liverpool wouldn't just wait a little bit longer. As someone's just said, Pep Linders could be an option for like a stopgap in between the two if Gerrard needs a few more years. I don't know whether it's a guarantee that he replaces Jurgen Klopp. And that maybe will give him a few more years to develop at a club like Villa. It's perfect. They're a massive club, bit like Rangers, both absolutely huge clubs like Liverpool. Yes, it's his end game, but there's no reason why Steven Gerrard couldn't get Aston Villa to where West Ham are, for instance, in my opinion. Like, I think he could get them to a 5th or 6th place finish. And why not? They've got a big budget as well. That changes them in the use of finances. It just ticks every box for me.
Yeah, look, I can understand it as well from Villa's perspective, because what you'd want from a manager or whoever the next appointment would be, clearly great coaching skills, great communication skills, but you would also want somebody who will help push the club to the next level in its current guise. I mean, obviously Villa, very historic club. Like, we don't need to talk about Aston Villa's history. It's there. It's well known. So, Paddy, I think maybe one of the strengths that Stevie G would have coming in to Aston Villa would be they'd be able to attract a player that maybe would have some reticence, some hesitation about where Villa currently are. I think he could sell them his project quite well.
100%. And that's it. Like, Steven Gerrard, the manager, is obviously a different level to Steven Gerrard, the player, but let's not forget it's Steven Gerrard. And if you're a young player and an up-and-coming talent, you will have grown up watching Steven Gerrard in his prime, and the fact that he'd be in for it, that would convince a lot of them. Like, who Aston Villa, Dean Smith, Steven Gerrard. If you're a young player, who impresses you more, regardless of their managerial capabilities. I think it makes perfect sense for Steven Gerrard. And touching on what Chris was saying about, maybe we don't go directly from Klopp to Gerrard. There's no guarantees Gerrard accepts the Liverpool job if he gets offered it after Klopp, because he might think in his head, I'm not ready. And he knows, look what happened with Lampard and Chelsea. There is a very real possibility he comes to Liverpool whenever he does, and he flops. And unfortunately, inherently, his reputation or his stock will slightly decrease. That's just the way it is.
How could he possibly flop in a team with Mbappe, Haaland, and Jude Bellingham, though? I mean, if you can't succeed then, Paddy, when can you succeed?
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those as well. When you're going from Klopp, you can look at it two ways. It's a big act to follow, or you can look at it where Liverpool fans will have had the highs of the Klopp era and are ready to build again. And so maybe Gerrard's the perfect man to alleviate that pressure. Because if you bring a random manager in, for example, let's just say Ten Hag comes in or someone random, like the pressure on him, he has no respect or anything build up. But if Gerrard comes in, we'll have time for Gerrard. We're willing to give Gerrard that time.